Away from the union's stance on the proposed merger, Aviation this week caught up with the chairman of the Airline Operators of Nigeria, Mr. Nogim Megisin, who expressed so much optimism about a probable reversal of the decision.
I was taken aback that in 2014, those kind of recommendations can come out. As the chairman of AON, I called and consulted with a lot of people in the industry, both with the government, with ICAO, with the FAA, and also even with the British CAA on the position of where they are, where we are, and how does the merger also affect us. It was clear that Nigeria was respected. One of the things we were respected for our Category 1 approval was because we had a separation of power where the NCAA had an autonomy and was signed by then the President Yar'Adua, giving NCAA an autonomy to be a standalone regulator. When I spoke with the government about this, the government is ready to listen and also dialogue with the people and with us on a way forward. My understanding with them is that yes, it's a white paper, it's a proposal, but it's not a law. NCA was set up as an autonomy body, and the constitution or the act that rules the NCAA was approved by the parliament. So any amendment to the act, which is a constitution, has to go back to the Senate for amendment. And to get that approved or amended, the constitution on the merger, we're looking at about 9 months, maybe not even this year. So we have an opportunity and a window now to dialogue with the government to let them see reasons in what made them take the position in 2011, October, and we're in now in May 2014 are two different issues. A lot of things have gone underneath the bridge. Yes, we may have been analog at that time, but the world is digital now and we cannot be thinking about plugging analog equipment in a digital age. It's out, not just out of fashion, it's out of phase. Yes, Nigeria is a sovereign state. ICAO recommendation and states in the article, ICAO article 9784, section 12, and ICAO 8335 clearly states for separation of powers with the agencies. Africa has 2% of aviation movement in the world. Out of the 2% in Africa, South Africa has 1.2%. Out of the 1.2%, the remaining of Africa has about 0.7. And out of that 0.7, they took one Nigerian to show that Nigerians complying to the ICAO rules and regulation. And we have a person today, Dr. Aliyu, representing us in ICAO. And I believe the Nigerian government is listening. ICAO is watching. ICAO, when I spoke to them, cannot really jump into the middle because it is still a proposal. As far as ICAO is concerned, they have 200 and maybe 12 members. Out of the 212 members, they cannot be going from country to country to address rumors or proposals. But they are hoping that Nigeria will look into it, which we also spoken to the government. And the government has said, yes, they are looking into it. There's not going to be a merger. They're giving me their word, there's not going to be a merger with the CAA.
But many believe that these agencies are standalone agencies and they fund themselves.
The agencies are standalone and are self-generating. That's why we've also gone to the government to ask them. But capital, don't forget, they're self-sustaining for salaries, but capital projects are still being sponsored by the government in these agencies. So we're all working where we all can watch each other's hand. to reach a position that will be a win-win situation both for the government and for the agencies. Merging the agencies is not, it should not be discussed. NCA must remain alone, has to remain alone, or we will probably find ourselves as a country in a position that we don't want to find ourselves in. And the government is aware, and the government has assured us that that is not going to happen. It's just the reporting line that they want to adjust. And they are looking into it, and they will get back to us with a panel or a committee.
You talked about capital projects. Is government not expected to fund its own agencies?
Like anywhere in the world, the regulator is always the government. The service providers like NAMA, FAN, NIMET are all service providers that have all been privatized. You go into Heathrow today, Heathrow is being run by private agents. You go to South Africa, almost the same thing. You go to Atlanta or JFK is owned by a private body. So, and the services are being run as a private entity. Yes, I think we will get there as a country, but I think the government will take their time to set up the parameters on how to privatize that.
Authorities say the search for the missing Malaysian Airlines plane is likely to take a year, but the plane will eventually be found.
It was obvious that we had to go down and have a look. We sent the bluefin down in that area. Thus far it has found nothing, and we've covered about 500 square kilometres thus far. That's just the way it is. I still am hopeful that the bluefin work that we do between now and the end of May might still find something. But I must say the chances of finding it, I think the probability is lower than it was when we started the search.
Based on the template that we had, it's just based on one or two fingers. There are other areas that we are discussing, which is using the same approach. And that has been consistent. Getting expert advice, getting verification, getting corroboration, getting all our international partners on board in deciding where we move forward. I think this is the way that we have been doing in the past, and I think we will continue to do that, notwithstanding what other speculation that comes out, which we will follow. But it doesn't mean that what we have done in the last month and weeks before this has been wrong.
Senior officials from Malaysia, Australia and China are expected to meet in Canberra next week to discuss the next phase of the search.
There will be a tripartite or a trilateral discussion with China, in which case we hope that the approach forward with regards to deployment of assets, engagement with the families, and the expert and technical advice that comes from all over the world.
While the search will certainly enter a new phase, relatives of Chinese passengers on board the missing plane have expressed anger after being told that they must leave their Beijing hotel a day after the airline said it would stop providing accommodation. Some days before, the cockpit recording of the conversation between the airplane and ground control were played for the first time in a Beijing conference room in China. "Good night, Malaysian 370 were the final words believed to be that of a crew member on the plane. Malaysian officials released the recording more than 50 days after the plane disappeared on March 8 with 12 crew members and 227 passengers from 14 nations.
The Boeing 777 family of jetliners is one that is preferred by passengers and airlines around the world.
The aircraft size and the layout of that aircraft provides a passenger product which is second to none, and we hear it all the time from our passengers. They marvel at the features in the aircraft.
Since its entry into service in June 1995, The 777 family consists of 5 passenger models, with the ability to fly point-to-point non-stop to bypass crowded and busy hub airports, and a freighter model. The 777 interior offers operators unsurpassed configuration flexibility. Large overhead compartments provide passengers with increased storage capacity. The 777's advanced wing enhances the airplane's ability to climb quickly and cruise at high altitudes and speeds than competing airplanes. It also allows the airplane to carry full passenger payloads out of many high elevation, high temperature airfields. The 777 makes extensive use of lightweight, cost-effective structural materials that lessen the overall weight of the airplane and contribute to its fuel efficiency. The aircraft seats from 301 to 386 passengers in a 3-class configuration with a range capability of 5,240 nautical miles, about 9,700 kilometers, to 9,395 nautical miles, about 17,395 kilometers. The airplane is available in 6 models: the 777-200, the 777-200ER, the largest 777-300, 2 new long-range models, the 777-300ER and the 777-200LR Worldliner, the world's longest range commercial airplane, and the Boeing 777 freighter. The Boeing 777 held a very good safety record prior to the disappearance of flight MH370, and there is still no evidence there was anything wrong with the plane to cause it to drop off the radar. Boeing has delivered more than 1,000 of its long-range wide-body 777 planes to airlines across the world since 1995, and there have been fewer than 60 incidents reported with the aircraft, according to the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board. The most notable incident involving the jet was the horror crash of an Asiana Airlines 777-200 plane at the San Francisco airport last year, which killed 3 people. However, no fault with the aircraft has been found in the ongoing investigation.
That's all on this edition, but we would like to hear from you. Do reach us on Aviation This Week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi. Thanks for watching.